Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are returning to Burden of Command, a upcoming turn-based wargame, which puts you in the shoes of a officer in World War II, leading basically company-size engagements through from North Africa all the way through to the conclusion of the war. We are a number of episodes into our series in this one, and so we're picking up where we left off. We just fought sort of down a highway on the road to Casablanca in the operations in Morocco as part of Operation Torch, and we managed a fair bit of success. We did suffer some casualties, but overall I would say it was a pretty clean operation, if somewhat sloppily executed. That may sound contradictory, but I didn't lose too many men, but a few big mistakes and a few squads. We were able to replace those losses, however, and I'm not sure what's next, but we haven't gotten to Casablanca yet. We did get sort of a roadblock. We were told the companies on our flanks weren't advancing enough. Now, this unique thing of this game is that it is also heavily narrative-focused with sort of choose-your-own-adventure type decisions to be made, and so that's built into the turn-based tactical element of this game. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. This game does come out on April 8th, so we're less than a week away from release date, and let's go ahead and see what this next sort of scenario has in store for us. Maybe we'll get to attack Casablanca. Not sure. 10th of November, 1942, Morocco.
Shore batteries and the heavy guns of the French battleship Jean Bart and several cruisers, destroyers, and gunboats put out a devastating fire. Gunnery from American ships coupled with precision bombing silenced those guns.
Okay. Outside Casablanca, afternoon. The talk.
Then I knew, even if I made all the right decisions, not everyone was coming home.
The awaited French counterattack never materializes, and neither do your orders to advance. If General Patton has a strategy here, it's way beyond you. Just as well we didn't have support either. We have to keep pushing. I command only my platoon, not the army. Just as well, we didn't have support either. The city of Casablanca sprawls along the horizon to the southwest, a jumble of white stone and strangely shapen golden rooftops just a few miles away. The hours creep past as you watch, wait, and wonder. Your men rest in what shade they can behind their rock piles. You can hear their stomachs growl and make your rounds. A runner from the company HQ arrives at sunset. "Captain Lamb needs to see you," he says. "Take 4 men. Our supplies have come in." Corporal James Jackson relates, managing to catch a hint of the captain's Texas twang. "Water, ammo, food. Now go see Captain Lamb." Okay, so Captain Lamb needs to see me, he says. "Take 4 men. Our supplies have come in." Okay. "All 3, Lieutenant Corporal Jackson replies, but not a heap of anything. You grab the 4 nearest men, put Sergeant Grant in charge until you return. Corporal Jackson leads you to a ruined adobe farmhouse behind a grove of lemon trees. Piled in the shade are cardboard boxes filled with K-ration cartons. Beside them sit a dozen 5-gallon jerry cans, all stenciled with the word water. The clatter of a typewriter draws your attention to a white stone house nearby, where there's a clack of keys. There is paperwork, and that means a command post. So chalk the goods as first platoons. High cunning. I don't understand the difference between these two. They seem to be the same option. But I guess we'll do the plus 15 trust, because that seems worthwhile. Morris and Patterson quickly set about this now familiar work, while Crosley and Roberts draw attention away from one of their long-running arguments about the need for a designated hitter rule in baseball. When the runner glances warily toward the nearby doorway, you head in that direction as if you were heading there initially. As you approach, Captain Lamb enters the sunlight and blinks hard. Somehow he doesn't seem half as tired as he was last time you saw him. Okay. Lieutenant, Captain Lamb calls out to you. The supply situation ain't good. Most of this stuff had to be hauled up by hand. Dearborn and Wilson have taken their shares, so half of this is yours. Make it count. I understand, sir. Half and no more? Lieutenant Stern hasn't picked up his portion yet? Not yet, Captain Lamb says, and then considers the question anew. I expect he'll hustle right over when he gets word, though. He'll be wanting his half of the ammo at the very least. I'll leave all the 30 cal ammo for Stern. Well, the 30 cal ammo would also be ammo that would be relevant for M1 Garands. I'll have my men stop by to remind him. All right, then, Captain Lamb replies. Now, Major Cloud is putting together a briefing at the battalion, and we're invited. Your men will take away 1st Platoon's share, except for one of them. He's coming with us as an aide. Choose Crosley, he can eat at Battalion CP. We did leave Crosley under friendly artillery fire for a while. I feel a little guilty about that, as our... we basically hauled our whole company out of there, and Crosley was left behind with the heavy weapons under artillery fire, so... Morris, so Patterson will work harder. Patterson, so Morris will work harder. Roberts, so he can't carry as much. 1st Platoon gains 2 experience and 2 temporary morale. Crosley, he can... yeah, well, I feel bad for Crosley. You motion to Corporal Crosley to fall in. The big man reluctantly tears himself away from the waiting grub. There isn't much to see on the road ahead. There are no vehicles or even camels to be found. Only a few distant figures trudge down the ribbon of gray asphalt, their shadows long in the setting sun. The pace Captain Lamb sets would be a brisk one by anyone's standards. After a time, he signals for Crosley to go on a little ways, and the corporal does exactly that with his bar at the ready. So how are you getting along, Lieutenant? Captain Lamb asked politely. I mean, I did order my men to take the anti-aircraft gun, but it kind of disappeared. I'm not really sure. Deflect by being angry at the French. Indicate I've learned a lot. Feign wariness as is appropriate. About taking down that anti-aircraft gun. Nothing to be said, Captain Lamb indicates, waving away the topic. You listened to Dearborn, and he pulled it off. I've already had a talk with him about such diversions. But next time, tell me then. Or tell me. Then we'll be able to work smoothly toward a common victory. You walk in silence for a little while. What I really want to know is how are you handling things, Captain Lamb asks, because the last few days have been trying for us all. Right now, we're all still figuring things out, Captain Lamb replies, but things will get easier after we do. A barrage of artillery thunders in the distance. Casablanca lies under a pall of smoke, and that hangs especially heavy over the harbor. The two of you talk a while, but about how the men are doing, good and bad. This all leads to my next question, Captain Lamb says after a time. Is Sergeant Grant a good sergeant? He hasn't done anything bad, has he? How is he bad? This is a little bit out of left field. Where is he hearing that he's bad? I'd trust him with my life, and I've had to. That's high praise, Captain Lamb remarks. I didn't know if he'd make the grade. Did you know he was a buck private in 40? Lots of promotions during the Army expansion. Changed everything. Crosley suddenly freezes on the road ahead. His bar comes up to his shoulder. The drone of an anti-aircraft engine, or of an aircraft engine, comes from somewhere in the twilight sky. Lamb gestures toward a stone animal pen nearby. A lone sheep paces about inside, flickering nervous glances your way. And you and Lamb take cover behind the rough masonry. Crosley hunkers down a little further away. Thankfully, the sound of the plane begins to fade away. I've got a bad feeling about this. Sir, what's this all about? A lot of things, Captain Lamb says. Major Cloud wanted me to bring my XO. Trouble is, Lieutenant White is still on a ship with a smashed hand he got when we were loading up. Unless he makes a real dramatic recovery, Nickel Company's going to need an executive officer. I want that to be you. High above, the plane wings away northeasterly, disappearing into the steadily darkening sky. You're good at thinking on your feet, and I know I'm not the only person who thinks that, Lamb says. Besides, you've got the grit needed to lead men into battle, but you come out on top every single time. That's amazing, to be honest. I can't tell if it's skill or luck, and I don't care either. He leans in. The question now is, are you ready and willing to be my XO? Wilson always plays by the book. Dearborn never opens it. And for every pit bull like Stern, there's another officer who'd rather never leave a CP. Overhead, the sound of the plane fades completely into the distance. Okay, so Wilson always plays by the book. Dearborn is playing not by the book ever. And Stern is a pit bull, I guess? I don't know that I got that from Stern so far in his fighting, but okay. So what does that make me? Some regulations work in the field, and some are just for garrison, and some get men killed when the shooting starts, Lamb says. He gestures idly toward a portion of the wall. There are hundreds of individual stones out there that make up the whole. Whatever you may think, this won't be easy. The more soldiers you lead, the harder it is, because everybody needs something different to get the job done. Now, how about it? This war is about getting things done. Isn't my mindset already cunning? I'll manage. That's good to hear, Lamb says. Confidence will take you far. When you're done being my XO, I expect you'll make an excellent company commander. He pats your shoulder, and with a silhouette haloed by the stars, that sounds like a promise. The only thing I have with this is that so far anyway, the way the scenarios all play out pretty much, you are a company commander. At least in terms of like the role-playing elements of this don't entirely match up with the scenarios. So like all of this narrative stuff is great, but there are gaps between what you see here and how the battles unfold, which I understand from a game design perspective might just be necessary, but it is a little bit jarring to be like, oh, you want me to be your number 2, so presumably there will be times where I'll be leading the command in your stead, but I've already been doing that, so... Oh no. He stands up. A shot rings out and he staggers. He gets hit by a sniper. Captain Lamb collapses against the stone wall, a dark stain spreading across the front of his shirt. Covering fire! I mean, shooting back at the sniper probably won't accomplish anything. Rush over to my captain. You pull the captain behind cover as his legs buckle under him. He reaches out for your hand as he strains to say something, but instead blood spills out through his lips. More bullets crack past. Then you hear the barely audible ping of an M1 unblocked clip. The shooter has an American rifle. The challenge is George. Hey, I'm supposed to challenge with that, a voice calls out in the darkness. Moments later, a young American soldier edges into view, his hand pale as they clutch the stock of his rifle. Oh, shit! Crosley charges the soldier and slams him to the ground. Fuck, fuck, fuck! That's probably my reaction. You vent your fury in words that can't last, because now there's something more important to attend to. The next while is a blur of carrying Captain Lamb forward to battalion. Blood keeps coursing down his chest. Crosley shouts for a doctor. There isn't one, but the medics do what they can with what they got. It isn't pretty, and it doesn't work. Eventually, you find yourself beneath canvas, sitting upon a folding chair that creaks worryingly with every breath you take. A medic brassard, emblazoned with a red cross, rests on a nearby field table. Major Cloud steps into the tent, his left hand encased in a white bandage. His eyes narrow as you look up. Do you need to be relieved? He asked pointedly. Can I tell you to go to hell? No, Major Cloud says pointedly as he eases over to the nearby table. A faint rumbling of artillery comes from the west. Tonight, 2nd Battalion will launch an attack on the resort town of Anseba, the Major explains. His free hand drifts to the medic's helmet and shifts it aside. Early tomorrow morning, 3rd Battalion will use the ground they've taken to push into the city proper. Nickel Company's objective is a French military encampment on the city's outskirts. You will lead them. Make no mistake about this. You've never commanded a company, and the advantages the French have are considerable. They're fighting on their doorstep, while we're dragging everything from the beachhead. They also have tanks, they have artillery, and they may actually outnumber us, he says, with a decided calmness. But that doesn't matter. They've been retreating for 3 days, and now they're forced to fight. That's not easy to do. Not for any army. And if we coordinate properly, they won't be able to shift their reserves around to hit us one company at a time. When did Captain Lamb... I could say that the doctors are still working on him, as far as anybody knows, Major Cloud says. He glances briefly out at the tent flap, though there's nothing much to see in the dark. Can wait, Major Cloud. He knuckles a rap against the wooden table. You have an attack to prepare for. So they tell me, Major Cloud says. There's another one of those folding chairs nearby, but he doesn't sit. I don't have any maps to show you the larger movements, but you don't need them either. I better get to my company then. Yep, there isn't much time, Major Cloud says as he escorts you out. You return to the adobe house that served as Captain Lamb's command post. The enlisted men there are already whispering to one another. Bad news travels fast, as always. They already know you are their new company commander. Crosley is sent out to get Sergeant Grant. Other runners fetch the lieutenants. It isn't long before they assemble. Lieutenant Stern is the first to arrive, barreling up the road at a dead run. Lieutenant Dearborn isn't far behind. Sergeant Grant and Lieutenant Wilson arrive not long after, though the older man has a definite hitch to his step. I don't know if... Oh, has he been... So I can say he's been badly wounded and that's a lie, but like the dude said he was still working on him, unless that was a lie to me. Well, I don't see any reason to lie to the men about the captain. Like, I guess, you know, maybe it keeps their morale up that he's not dead, but... Captain Lamb's been killed. Stern takes a step back and shakes his head. Jesus Christ, Wilson growls. What the hell happened? Yeah, you should. I'm going to relate the details only because our men need to know to properly challenge each other. And this, if anything, tells you green trigger-happy soldiers in the middle of the night are a threat to our own men, so don't let that fucking happen. You describe what happened as best you can recall. The wound, the sentry, the medics. Wilson doesn't need all that. He already knows the story. Dearborn shakes his head repeatedly, though, as if unable to hear all the words. And Stern, he might as well be carved of stone. That done, you move on to the forthcoming attack. You lay out Major Cloud's orders and reveal the map. Along the route from your present bivouac, you'll have to take a cement works and negotiate a half-built workers' suburb before coming upon the military encampment. The French are strongly positioned in the camp itself, but not much else is known of their deployments. That includes the hill area to the south. Dearborn, what does the French translate as? Unless I miss my mark, Site des Avours translates as Workers' City, no doubt for the rough and tumble men of the construction. Moreover, the site makes any advance a tricky proposition. Lieutenant Dearborn considers as he ponders the map. If I were them, I'd screen the cement works and then post a few squads in the city, harassing us as we go. We should swing south of the Site d'Avours and then sweep down from the heights. No, no, Lieutenant Wilson interjects. They'll be expecting that, and we'll be without good cover the entire time. Yeah, and swing wide and we'll just burn time for no good reason, Lieutenant Stern adds in. We have to hit them before they figure us out. In the back of the group, Sergeant Grant says nothing when you meet his eye. There's a profound worry there. The officers argue a little while longer. Dearborn is certain that his flanking maneuver will work. The others are equally uncertain, but for different reasons. The second map you have bears hand-drawn dispositions that may or may not be accurate, seeing how they came from French officers with Gaullist leanings. Honestly, if I was fighting the Germans, I would probably flank, but we do know the French have not been the most enthusiastic of fighters thus far, and so I think going at them hard, more or less frontally, is the right approach. So we'll get in close and hit them hard. You lay out the platoons, will make the assault. Captain Lamb would never have taken this sort of gamble, Lieutenant Dearborn says. I'm certain of it. Captain Lamb isn't in charge, Dearborn. You send the officers back to their platoons, but Grant lingers behind. Sergeant? I'm terrified about tomorrow, Sergeant Grant admits. I've never led a platoon. Not like this. Oh, shit, that's right, because we're now the CO of the company. Grant's going to take over in our stead as a NCO. There's a first time for everything, Sergeant Grant grimaces. I'll keep that in mind, Lieutenant, he replies, evidently unconvinced, but he doesn't have to say anything more before stepping out. There's countless details to prepare, things you've never had to bother with before. The field kitchens haven't come forward for some reason. There's no first sergeant to sort that out. There's radio frequencies that need to be confirmed for armored artillery and mortar support, alternate plans for contacting the battalion CP, reconnaissance, and much, much more. By the time those are in hand, the sky is entirely dark, and you are exhausted. Thankfully, there's a cot waiting for you in the house. Second room. The sight would have been comforting if it weren't for Captain Lamb's dressed boots laying on the floor beside it. You awaken in the familiar dark. All is quiet, and for a moment you forget where you are. Then the warm, fond illusion is shattered, and by the distant thunder of artillery, you're 3,000 miles from home in a very foreign country and at war. Your headquarters unit is a bare 5 men, all of whom seem to be asleep. No sign of a sentry. Roster is to be found. The radio operator lies curled up beside his box. The runner snores next to the door. The armorer swings in a hammock, strung up on one corner. A glance out of the adobe house windows finds a gray dawn. A look at your watch tells you that there's not much time before you're scheduled to launch the attack, and there remains much to do. I love the way they're painting the picture, like almost like you're reading a novel about it. It kind of comes to life a little bit. I think these like quiet moments before the eve of battle, before the fight, like a lot of those, and I'm not a soldier, but like a lot of those types of moments in life are what loom large in memory. More so often than what is actually happening in the big moment, but often the calm before the storm. As an athlete, the calm before the game. Obviously in this scenario, the soldier, the calm before the battle. It's where your mind has a moment to think. It's where you have time to process, and often it is one of those things that people look back on memory-wise, and it stands much starker than it otherwise you would think it would. Okay, so who do I rouse first? Does it matter? I guess the radio operator, in case anything's come in. You shake the sleeping radio man by the shoulder. Sparks, you whisper, I need you up. Corporal Innocently Sparks Sobuski picks himself off the ground with a yawn. Captain? He asks as he blinks the sleep out of his blue eyes. Oh, sorry, sir. What can I be helping you with? Do we want air or... I want artillery more than I want air. Yes, I do that, Sparks says in his distinctively slightly broken English, as his Polish accent particularly thick this morning. He grasps the side of his radio and turns the crank. Tiny sparks briefly flicker within the case. Soon you're on the line with an artillery officer. The exchange proves less than reassuring. Division already has too many support requests and nowhere near enough shells. Only the customary ranging fire takes place. Great. Yeah, boss, Technical Sergeant Washington Arthur asks politely in a Bayou accent as he stows his hammock with steady motions. The armor artificer... I'm not captain. Why are they calling me captain? I haven't been promoted to captain as far as I'm aware. I'm in charge. I guess I'm an acting captain, but... Advanced tank support arrival? Yeah, I don't need... maybe I could be better at using the MGs, but I'd rather get tanks sooner. So we're going to rig some road signs to get the tanks up here quicker. Private James Jackson, JJ to the others, looks over blearily at you. Unlike the times you've seen him in the past, he's not moving at all that quick. Sir, he asks as he pulls himself up. I don't need the extra rifle squad. Give me tanks. Can I double advance the tanks? Tanks will arrive sooner twice now? I don't know. I don't know if you can stack benefits, but let's do that. With everyone in motion, you step out into the gray dawn. The platoons of the company are waking as well, and under an hour the attack will begin. Have I done everything I can? That's a question that'll be answered soon enough. Captain Lamb must have felt the same thing. We got to sleep in a cot. That's got to be worth all the stress. We had wondered what took Captain Lamb so long to get the company in order. It turns out that it's much harder than just barking orders. All right, here we go, boys.
Chinese fire drill.
My God. Oh, what a mess. Oh, hell.
I really wish these little icons here for the fact that Wilson and myself were wounded were gone, because I was like, who actually has the orders? It is a little bit annoying. But you can see this one is us, although apparently we're a captain now. I wish it would have told me I was actually promoted. No one gave me any new hardware. Acting lieutenant is our sergeant, who's in charge of our platoon. Wilson, Dearborn, and Stern. So the company's all sort of positioned here. This particular map is both... Oh, wow. It's long. It's tall and wide by the looks of it. We need to secure... This is a secondary objective. So what are our actual objectives here? So, here's the map. We need to take victory points here and here. I'm assuming this is the cement factory, this is the workers' town, and then this is the main victory location here on the left. So there's 4 victory locations. We don't have a lot of good... If we move south, that's the flanking approach. I don't think we'll have any good cover. Now, I am a little bit nervous. There's some trenches here. They could fire into our flank as we try and advance on the objectives here. These could be manned positions with like machine guns. Of course, there's trenches in here as well. But I think the best approach, and I could be wrong on this, but I think the best approach is going to be to move north through this shrub growth into this sort of factory-looking area, then use that as cover, and move house by house through here. Once we get into these towns, this area, industrialized area or built-up area, we can use the buildings as cover to move forward here toward the objectives toward the rear of the map. That's my thought. We are going to be exposing ourselves to whatever is in these trenches down here, but there's no reason to advance south there, I don't think. So I think that's the approach. Our goal for the men is to lose less than 10%. Apparently we've lost 1% already. I don't know how. All right, so Let's also take a look at line of sight. We got these MGs here. These guys can provide cover in these buildings I want to move into, so there's a positive there. I don't think I have any artillery I can call, just my mortars. I've got smoke and non-smoke, so I've got arty and not arty, if you will. My character is back here. I really am annoyed that it says I'm a captain. No one promoted me. That should be a major event, getting promoted. All right, so in any event, I think Wilson moves first. We should make his squad move first. Let's see if we can... I don't particularly want to move on that roadway. So let's move Wilson and this platoon of his into the shrub growth here. I've been spotted by something. Do we know? We got like a little eyeball icon, which indicates the enemy does know where you are. I don't see them. Anyway, Wilson, man, he only has one more chit to move. So he's second squad, right? So these guys have to move. All right, well, let's just try and move them direct across the road. Hopefully they don't get shot at. Fuck. Well, we took one casualty right off the bat. They got into cover. It looks like there's an enemy anti-tank or artillery piece, a direct fire piece back that way. So I should have known better than to do that. Let's get our officer up here. I want to get him here. I'm just going to move my individual and pray that I don't get hit by enemy artillery. I didn't. Great. Then we're going to go ahead and rally. Oh, I can't rally them because they already moved. I can bolster them to try and encourage them a little bit. And then can we press Wilson? Oh, only the squad got it. Okay, well. Move these guys up this way.
Move it!
We still have movement points. And move them into this factory here.
It's getting hot out there!
It's getting hot out there, so hot. All right. So we'll have nice cover there. Those boys moving north. I want these guys also to move into the factory. Their morale is crap, but I'd like them to be in some cover. And then we will use our one remaining point for our officer to move the last squad in second platoon so that we can get all of Wilson's platoon moving forward here. So Wilson's platoon is moving north and around toward the enemy. That does it for this round. So we'll end that turn. The French are doing something, but I can't see much yet. God, that artillery was rough, man. What's the still only 1% casualties so far. So we did take the one unit lost. Let's... Where was the gun? I wish I knew. So first platoon, we'll hold off here. Let's have Dearborn. Dearborn's going to go to the south of the road. He'll take the more direct route through this shrub growth. So let's see what he can do. It's going to be a little bit more exposed down here, but there are a few positions where we can get some cover. And there's an enemy MG down here. So it's good to know. Let's hold off on bolstering there. All right, get into that house. We've got cover there. Partial cover in this little orchard. And then last squad of Dearborns is down here. Yep. So you'll use this. I'm assuming this fence gives you some cover, so you can kind of like, you're moving with this fence line here is a little bit of shade, I hope. And then Dearborn's first squad, we're going to keep them together. Okay, so Dearborn himself is being left a little bit behind, but the horns move forward without incident. We've detected some other enemy troops down here in the trenches to the south. Like I said, I don't think they'll have the weapons range to hit us there unless they're MGs. So we'll end his squad's time. And then Stern. Can he call Artie in on anybody? Theoretically. We can drop Artie on these guys. I don't know what's down here, but seems maybe like a waste. What about the MGs? Can they see anything? Not really. Let's move this MG to this house. Maybe they can shoot from there. Yeah, we're going to use these houses here in this little farm to provide cover for our men as they advance on the southern edge here. And then Stearns has already moved, so the mortars can't do anything. Stearns has used up all his movement points. Okay. And now I've got just the one platoon left, our first platoon, which is our most experienced platoon. It is my former platoon. And I don't know what I want to do with them quite yet. Move one of these guys into this house with some cover. I guess we'll keep them to the south of the road as well. Uh-oh. 11 suppression and 2 casualties? Dear God. What the hell is that? A 75 millimeter? I thought there was some cover there, but maybe not. All right, we're taking heavy losses already. So that's 3 casualties, and we haven't even come close to linking up with them. I would have thought the shrubbery would have provided us some cover, but apparently not. I guess that smoke is what you really need. They're going to be in the open here, too. I guess there's no cover, presumably. Otherwise, you'd see some indication of there being cover. Ooh, there's trenches there in this. Oh. Alright. Another casualty. Dear God. Since when did the French get good? Alright, so they're in cover here, but they're taking losses. No sign of the tanks yet. That's not really a surprise. I don't really know when the tanks are supposed to show up. Alright, I can drop mortars on these guys. We'll do that. I'm still thinking maybe it would be smarter to hit the enemy with smoke. those are just regular troops. I can't hit the artillery from there. So get these guys in this building here with some cover. That'll be it for Stern's turn. Rally! Alright. I want Wilson to get up here and rally his men. I suppose I can just go directly in. Rally him myself as the company commander. Get their morale back up. Okay. We'll move here through this street.
Move it!
We should have cover from the buildings on either side. And then get them here on the edge of this locale. We'll get Wilson up here. Nice if we can move a little bit further. Can I use my points to make him move quicker? Doesn't look like it. Alright. Am I commanding Wilson's platoon then? Alright, let's press this squad. Let's also bolster them. So they can move into this house. Or in this building. They will potentially get hit by enemy fire, but apparently not. Yeah, I guess we'll keep pushing them with them in the north, and they'll move into this abandoned trench. So these guys have some cover here as we push on toward the secondary objective in the north. Meanwhile, that's going to do it for Wilson's phase as we try to avoid the artillery. Well, they're moving some MGs there that way too. They're moving them to the north. All right, move here. Rally those boys. They took some casualties and they took a hit. Press them. And now, in theory, they're good to move. Now, there's enemy artillery somewhere around here. I don't want to leave these guys behind entirely. If I could get them here, I would. All right. Let's try this. All right. I'm hoping that avoids that artillery. No! Fuck! I thought I had gotten just shy of their range, but apparently not, and now they're going to take cover in the middle of the fucking street. Okay, well, at least we know where their 75 is, and they didn't take any actual casualties there, I don't think, beyond what they had already previously taken. That does it for his round. 75s might actually do some damage to the tanks, too. Okay, the guns over here. I don't know how many times they can fire it. We also do have guns to the south, which is a little bit of a concern. What I really need is to drop what I could really use is to drop some smoke, which is, again, probably why the game gives you smoke for this particular mission. But let's... Alright, first things first. You guys... I know these guys are already suppressed, but... maybe by being more suppressed, if that is even really a thing, they will be less likely to shoot. Squad will move through one hex where they could get reaction fired. And they don't, thank God. And we'll move them into that building. Alright, so they detected more enemy units. These guys are not fully suppressed either. So that's going to do it for Dearborn's move. I think moves us to turn 3. Okay. A clatter in the east. Engines on the move. Twin Stuart light tanks rattle down the road with JJ riding atop the hull. A collective cheer erupts from your men as the tanks draw near. What do you want from us, Tank Commander signals? A familiar signal and a familiar commander. It's Sergeant Lintz, who last saw on that training exercise and nearly killed my original Sergeant Bennett. Extended scene? Yeah, let's do that. Lintz adjusts his leather helmet and opens up one of his ear protectors as you step over. Up close in the din, the engine is significant even for a tank. What is it, Lieutenant? He asks. We've had a rough time just getting up here. There's not much gas left in the tank. Does he even know that Bennett survived? Should I tell? Whatever. This feels like an odd time to bring it up, but... yeah, Bennett survived, and Lintz nearly killed him. But if he knows that or recognizes you, it's another question, and for another time. Alright. Alright, so we got 3 tanks up here. Meanwhile, we do know there's an enemy piece here. They can see... well, they at least have range down to here. I don't know what my tank's range is. Yeah, don't even move. I don't even want a chance at a reaction fire. I just want you to hit the damn artillery here. Suppress them, shut them down before they have a chance to shoot at me while I'm moving. Alright, so I'm hoping they're fully suppressed, but if not, let's go ahead and move. I don't want to move too much. Let's move Lintz up here in the north. He can move through the light shrubs and forest up here. Okay. We will have him... we've got infantry to the front. It's just a question of how much risk we should take, I guess. I don't know if you're hull down if I move you down here. All right. Hopefully moving this range won't expose him to that artillery piece. It's a French 75. Strictly speaking, it's not an anti-tank gun, but I don't exactly trust our armor against it. Nice. Alright, so they are cowering, unable to return fire. That is good news, I think, for us. I'm inclined to move Lintz down here onto the road. Hopefully he doesn't get shot to pieces by the artillery to the south. But that does it for our tank section. Okay. The game is thinking. What's this? The French are doing stuff that I can't see because of lack of line of sight, I guess. Wonder if we're going to run into French tanks. All right. Good. All right, let's have first squad, first platoon. Can you guys can suppress whatever's there. Over there. Over there. All right. I'm hoping they're suppressed. I don't know what the enemy has there. And then try and suppress this machine gun that you flanked. Okay. Move this squad forward. Our officer can bolster them. And get them moving. No, just the squad. I'm going to have him join the bad morale squad, if you will. Hopefully we can get them. Well, they can't even move forward, can they? All right, let's... They're in this road. Does it make sense to pull them back here so they don't have to move next turn? They failed their morale check, so... Great. I can't even rally them right away. Anyway, that's first platoon's done now. Maybe I should send the captain back to get their morale up here. So the enemy artillery, I'm assuming here, is not going to shoot back. It says they're cowering. I don't know. Go ahead and bolster these guys. I want to suppress them, but I don't know what they all have down there. I can bolster adjacent units too, though. So let's do that. I wanted to move them here, but it doesn't look like they got the movement points to do that. All right, we'll double them back behind this building. And move them in here. Into cover. Second squad. They can try an assault here. They don't have great odds, but they can try it. Charge! Nice. Overran those guys. They were already suppressed. I just didn't have good visual on their location, but they did overrun them. Took that enemy squad out. They do not have the movement points to assault the artillery. But they can at least move forward into some cover in the next hex. Okay. Meanwhile, Captain Butcher is going to fall back to this squad in the open, in the middle of the road. And he is going to rally them. I don't think I can rally them this turn because I don't have any movement, but I can rally them next turn. Actually, Wilson probably needs to be encouraged too. But he's moving forward here to join his boys. Alright. Squad up there is going to be activated by my captain's movement. Into some light cover here. So there's enemy troops. Enemy armor! Enemy armor! Or at least some vehicles. Okay. Can my guy drop Artie? He's got the ability to call it in. Could drop it on the enemy cannons too. Really soften them up. Alternatively, can I drop smoke? I can't really provide smoke off the southern side, though. I'd like to drop it on top of the enemy, but I don't know. I don't know where to go with that. So I think we'll keep our captain there for now. And that phase. There must be a lot of enemy units, because they sure do take their time. No, they can't go out that way. Okay. All right. You should be able to flank this MG. Knock it out. Enemy MG surrenders. That should clear the approach, at least some of the approach for these troops here on the southern flank, although they're going to have to make a dash across some open ground. Enemy units up here. Okay. Bolster that squad of yours.
Gentlemen, prepare yourselves.
Oh, I hit rally, didn't I? Damn it. Alright, move up that way. I meant to bolster, not rally, but they should be in good shape next turn. Alright. We'll move Dearborn up here. He'll be in the open, but I'm usually a little less weird. You know, it's funny because in the previous battle... Uh-oh.
Run! Run!
No! Alright. It said, I think it said grazed. I think. I was gonna say I'm less worried about them wasting ammo on an individual as opposed to a unit. I just got Dearborn blasted. Okay. Well, that serves me right. Anyway, his platoon is down. With that being said, this seems like as logical a spot as any to wrap this episode up here. We've been going for almost an hour. Dearborn is down. The tanks have arrived. We're trying to push through the enemy arty, but we'll see how that all plays out in our next episode. Until our next episode, however, this is the Historical Gamer once again saying thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'm out. Bye-bye.